IXL is one of the online programs that we use that you can earn hours for. In your browser, to get to IXL, you just type in IXL.com and it'll bring you to this page. You're going to go in and you'll have a teacher assigned login and password. So you type those in, click on sign in, it'll bring you to this page. IXL has levels going from kindergarten all the way up to GED levels. So that you don't waste your time, you want to start working on your GED. So you're going to click on Learning. Once you click on Learning, you'll see there's pre-kindergarten, kindergarten. You don't want to waste your time with that. You want to go to Skill Plans. You're going to click on Skill Plans. It'll show you two skill plans that have already been set up for you, the GED and the TABE. I'm going to take a look at the GED first. So let's say you want to practice GED and you want to practice math. It'll cover math and it'll cover the reasoning through language arts, the RLA. So you're going to click on the math reasoning. That's what you're going to work on today. Your teacher may have worked on a specific skill in class that you can work on, or you can work on a specific skill from your GED Ready. You'll get a worksheet and it'll tell you some skills where you need to give some focus to. So let's say we scroll down here. Below passing would be 100 to 144 on the GED. You may have some skills in here you need to work on. So let's say you need to work on unit rates. That's what you've worked on in class. You've seen that that's one of the areas of weakness you may have. You click on unit rates. Once you're on unit rates, you may not need the example because you just worked on it in class that day. Or you might need an example and they'll give you that example and it'll walk you through the key idea. It'll give you a review. It'll give you some practice questions to do. Or you can watch a video that'll walk you through the steps of trying to find the unit rate. Once you feel comfortable with that, you can go back to your practice, and it's going to give you some practice with your unit rate. It'll show you how many questions you've answered. It'll show you how many questions you've gotten correct. And if you feel like, okay, I've done 5, 6 questions, I've gotten them all right, because they'll give you about 10 or so. You can go back, click on reasoning again, and go right into another skill. Now the skills go from the below passing, 100 to 144, all the way up. If you scroll down, there's a lot of skills. Here is our passing score, 145 to 100, passing 145 or greater. You can work on some of those higher level skills. Your teacher may give you some practice papers to do in class, or you might need some more practice and you can go into, say, absolute value. If you're trying to score into higher than 164, which is when you get into your college ready. So I'll go down. Your college ready score is 165 to 174. If you know all the skills above that and you want to earn a college ready score on the GED, you'd work on these skills here. And you can even go and work on the college ready plus credit, which is 175 to 200 on the GED test. So all of this are all the skills that are tested on the math GED. The same thing works for reading. If you go into your skill plan, and we're going to go into TABE. TABE is the test you took when you walked in at the beginning. It'll give us an idea of where your strengths and weaknesses lie in the area of math. TABE is also, after 40 hours of instructional time, we'll see how many gains you've made. Now, TABE is broken up into the math, reading, and language. You don't need to practice the language in the beginning. So you want to pick math. We'll tell you, you'll see from your results if you're at a level E, which is an easier level, a math level M, mid-level, a math level D, difficult, and math level A, which is advanced. Usually people that are at a level A in advanced are ready for the GED already, so they don't spend much time practicing. I'm going to pick I'm going to do reading this time. I'm going to pick reading level M. It works the same way. They'll give you all the skills that are tested on the GED in the area of reading language arts. Okay, so you scroll through, your teacher might tell you, hey, you know what? We've been working on identifying the main idea. So here's main idea. And they're going to do it with science and nature. Okay. Again, they'll give you an example. Sometimes they may give you a video to watch. So it's going to show you, we can do an example or we can just start practicing. They're going to have you read about the brain. Then they're going to ask you some questions to find what the text is about. You do a couple of problems with it. If you get them correct, you probably have that skill down at the level M in reading. But we want to make sure the M medium level to the D difficult level is the level you'll be tested on for TABE. To see, it depends. If you're in a level M, you want to practice your M and your D. You're trying to get up to the next level. If you're in an E, practice the E, try to work up to the level M, and so on. Don't forget, you go to skill plans. So we're going to review one more time. You log in, you click on learning, you click on skill plans, and there's the GED and the TABE buttons there. So that is pretty easy to do. That's one of them where you can earn your 10 hours from home. Many people work on it after class. They'll go home and they'll practice the skill they learned. The next online program, which is not as user-friendly, but it's the Aztec software. So up here in your browser, you're going to log into, it's plus.aztecsoftware.com. Okay. The teacher will provide you again with a username and a password. So you get to this screen, you type in your username, you type in your password, and you log in. The first thing there's a lot of information on this page. It'll tell you what you're working on, how much time you spent on it. Usually we go right to view classrooms. So we've enrolled you in certain classrooms for whatever tests you need to work on for the GED. We've enrolled you in that classroom. Okay, so you can see up here, this person has been enrolled in math, reading, science, and social studies, all 4 areas of the GED. This area, as you notice, it says GED Flash, and then it has those 4 areas. I try to have students think of this as kind of like flashcards, even though they're not flashcards, but I'm going to show you what this looks like. These would be practice type questions that you would take on the GED. So I clicked on the math first, and the math is broken up into graphs and functions, algebra, basic math, and geometry. Okay, so if you're working on it, and it'll tell you how much of the exam, 30% of the exam is based on the basic algebra. So if you want to practice the basic algebra, you just click on it, and it's going to give you 10 questions, just practice questions. None of this is tutorials, it's all practice questions. So I'm just going to randomly pick an answer. It'll tell me if I have it correct or incorrect. When you're looking, it'll explain it too. So it'll do the same thing. I'll show you one if you're incorrect. Okay, so I go to question 9. And in this part gives you immediate feedback. Let's hope okay, so I have an incorrect answer, and it's going to give me the explanation. I'm at home doing this, and all of a sudden I have something I need to do. I can click on Try Later. Once I finish all 10, I'll hit Submit Flash. It'll give me the overall score. Okay, and I can do this again and again because it'll give me different sets of questions. Okay, it'll tell you what you know. It'll show you your progress. Okay, I'm going to go back to view my classrooms. Okay, just click view class. Here are my classrooms again. And I can do that with math, reading, science, or social studies. All of these, I kind of think of them as like flashcards because all they're doing is giving you practice questions. Down here where it says Aztec software, this is where the actual classroom type questions are, the lessons that go with, and they include questions. So I'm going to click, I often call this the blue book. It looks like a GED study book. Okay. Here again, I know it's quite wordy, but if you look at the top, you can select a practice test, but we're going to go to learning plan. Okay, so we're going to click on learning because that's what I'm doing here, coming in to learn. And it has all 4 subject areas for learning. I'm going to select science this time. I'm going to be taking the test. I want to practice. And it has science skills, and it has overview of the science domains. Every time you see a plus, you can click on that. So I'm going to open up the science skills. These show all the lessons that I can do under science skills. You know, I can do introduction to scientific thinking, understanding scientific terms and content. It's very similar to an online class, okay? So once I do introduction to scientific thinking, I'll show you how that works, and I do that whole lesson, I can take a drill, which is a practice quiz of 10 questions to see if I've learned enough to move on. And I say, how do we know how much is enough? Out of those 10 questions, you'll want to get at least 8 of those correct before you move on to the next skill. Some of you might not need to work on all these skills. When you get your GED Ready scores, we'll be able to print out those skills that you need to work on. That's why it's so important to do your best on your TABE and your GED Readies so that we know what skills you have strengths in and what skills you have weaknesses in. So let's say I'm going to go Introduction to Scientific Thinking. That showed me on my GED Ready that I had a weakness in this area. I needed to learn or brush up on these skills. So I'm going to click on this. And I look up here and there are 40 slides on Introduction to Scientific Thinking. Okay. This will also talk you through these. So it's somebody giving you lessons on the Introduction to Scientific Thinking. I'm just going to mute this for a second so as you can see it's going through the slides to help you learn. Okay, you'll just click on the next slide. Sometimes at the bottom of the screen it'll ask you to continue. Give you information, more information. And then it'll give you a skills check. And you're not done with the video, but it just wants to make sure up to this point, do you understand what the person that's teaching you has taught you? Okay, have you retained that information? And you'll go through all 40 slides and you'll do that whole lesson. So I finished, let's pretend I finished all 40. I go back and I'm going to do the Introduction to Scientific Thinking quiz. So once I get over, I click on that and it'll give me, these are like GED questions. Okay, and you'll use in class, you'll learn all different types of testing strategies. So you're going to use your testing strategy. You're going to take this, 10 questions, you're going to submit your drill, and it'll show you how well you've done. If I need some sort of break, need to stop, I'm going to hit try later. If I hit submit drill, it's not going to give me these questions again. I'm going to hit try later, so it'll bring me back to these questions and I can work on them. So once I finish that, I can close that. I can work on science. I can work on any of the subject areas on the GED. We don't use the assignments currently. We do use the practice tests. So the practice tests will give you, if I want to take a practice test in social studies, this practice test has 36 questions. As you get closer to the GED, this is a great tool to use just to get you in the groove of how to test and making sure you know the material, especially since there's 36 questions. And you just go through each one. When you're done, you submit the test. Now, this won't give you the answers until you finish the test. So if you submit the test after 8 questions, it will score that. So anything you didn't do after 8, it'll mark those incorrect. If you need to do something, leave for work, whatever, you can try later. It's good to do all the tests in one sitting just to get used to that testing that you'll be doing when you go into the GED. Classrooms, I start right from here. Remember, these are like flashcards. They're all practice questions. I recommend that once you finish doing the lesson, the GED lessons, and you've taken those practice quizzes there, then go up and do, as you get closer to taking that test, then go up and use the GED Flash and just practice those. In the classroom, we'll go over more of this, but this gives you a good start, and it's a great way to earn your 10 hours from home, but it's an even greater way to practice and be prepared. Then when you're all done, just make sure you always log out.